David Viscott, and welcome back. Kind of a mellow show, that first hour. It's different. I just don't understand these evenings. They go from one extreme to the other sometimes. Who do we have?
Okay, we have Tom. He's on line 1, and he's suffering from guilt.
Tom.
Yes.
How old are you?
37.
Why are you calling?
Well, I've been pretty normal for the last 20 years, but I did things, God, from age 7 to 13, 14, even 15, that I just didn't think about until the last 3 years, and now I feel horrible about it.
What kind of things did you do?
Molested children, tortured and killed cats, lit fires, everything you'd expect from a serial killer.
What was going on then?
In my life?
Yeah, why were you doing that?
I didn't think there was anything wrong about it. I mean, I was really angry.
Okay, angry over what hurt?
I don't know.
Let's think about your life then. You were at home?
Yes.
Who was in the family?
I lived with my mother and a series of boyfriends and my sister.
And how did you feel about living with your mother and a series of boyfriends?
Hated it.
Why?
Because she'd always be in fights with them. They'd beat her up. I mean, it was just hysteria constantly.
Okay.
You know, fights over breakfast, physical, stuff like that.
Okay. And when did your mother start this life with you?
Start this life?
Yeah.
From the beginning.
Do you remember when you first crossed the line?
In terms of things I'd done?
Yeah, molesting, for example.
Molesting, I guess, started 7 or 8.
And who did you molest?
Cousins, kids, any kid that I was alone with.
And molestation consisted of what?
Not intercourse, but, you know, touching, things like that.
When you say touching, use adjectives to describe the touching.
Oh, God, it's like such a vile sensation bringing it up.
I understand. Was it violent?
No.
What was it like?
It was just, you know, just start doing it, and
what was the nature of the fondling?
no insertion or anything like that.
I said, what was the nature of the fondling?
I don't understand.
Characterize it. Was it loving? Was it aggressive?
It was neither. It was almost like clinical.
Okay, and clinical meaning your emotions weren't involved?
No.
Okay. What was the nature of the relationship between you and the person that you molested?
Usually friends.
I mean, no, that's not what I'm saying. Were you dominating them? Were they subjected to your will?
I would dominate them. Others would dominate me that were older. I wasn't just a molester. I was also molested.
That's important to know. Were you first molested or first the molester?
First a molester.
Okay. And how did you end up getting molested?
A neighbor boy.
Uh-huh. How much older?
3 years.
And what was the sensation of that? Was there guilt? Was there anger?
No, I liked it.
Did you feel better about being molested or molesting?
I felt better about being molested.
Because it was less guilty and more pleasurable?
I didn't feel any guilt until I was 35.
Okay. What happened then?
I had put it out of my mind from age 15 on.
And how did it come back into your recollection?
I know several people still that I'd done it with. It's unspoken.
You know several people
who I had molested to this day.
Okay.
They were friends of my family. Anybody who was friends with my family was as messed up as we were.
Okay, I can understand that. Do they know about it? Do they remember?
They must.
Have you ever spoken about it?
Not to a soul.
Do you think they'd like to talk about it?
I have no idea. My heart's beating like 100 miles an hour.
I understand that. What do you think it would be like to have a conversation with someone you've done that with?
I realized I was a child when I did it, but I feel like I would rather die.
Do you feel like, although you were a child, there was an adult doing this?
Yes.
Okay. That's...
Intellectually, I know I wasn't, but
But the you that was present then is still present now, right?
yes.
Because it's the you that could never let go of the past and has never grown.
Right. I feel damned. I mean, I let go of it. I've been in marriages. The thought of doing something like that now, even since I was an older teenager, it would be impossible. I got in a fairly adult relationship, 4 horrible marriages.
Four?
Yeah, a bunch of wonderful kids. I would never. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing something like that now. And
Well, you were a child in a very disturbed home.
oh, you're not kidding.
Well, I know. And that was the main force there, and what you were looking for was attention and to be in control of a situation that you felt out of control of.
Yeah,
So the idea is to dominate other people,
that's what it was.
because you were being dominated by a situation that you felt powerless to change.
I felt like I was in a dog in a dog-eat-dog world.
Right. And what you did was you did this in order to develop some sense of power where you had felt powerless. You weren't being sexual at all. What you were doing is struggling to have some sense of autonomy, some personal choice, which you couldn't have, and you found it easy to do it sexually over younger kids.
I also committed a couple of rapes, like date rapes, in my early 20s, in between marriages.
The need to...
Dominate.
Yeah. And to be in control. You've always felt out of control, right? Now that I mention it.
Yeah. I have a pretty checkered past as far as sexual stuff is concerned.
What do you mean exactly?
Well, you know, my mother was she didn't molest me, but she was very intimate with me.
How?
Telling me the details of every detail of her sex
Oh,
life.
she was titillating.
Yeah.
Starting when?
5.
So that you had, what she did is she raised the level of your sexual interest, and you had no place to release it.
She exposed me to pornography, things like that.
Good old mom, huh?
Well, she had reasons for being messed up, too.
Why?
Her father used to, I mean, he ran over her with a car once. He molested her. I mean, I think it goes back, we must have had, like, dysfunctional cavemen in our family, and we moved on to, I'm the result.
Is your mother psychotic?
She was. She killed herself
When was that?
when I was 23.
Did you feel any relief?
I threw up when I heard about it.
How did she do it?
Carbon monoxide
Uh-huh. In the car?
in a garage in a car. Her favorite car.
Why'd you throw up?
I just felt guilt because I treated her badly.
Well, you felt guilt because you were so angry at her for the hurt she inflicted on you.
Yeah.
That half the time I imagine you wished her dead, right?
Constantly.
Those wishes have no power to them. They're the result of injury that's been held in. You're not a powerful person, and that's why you got into all this stuff your whole life. People who are as powerless as you were in childhood, who never need to dominate, often have fantasies that they actually have power, and when something that they wish takes place, they think they're responsible for it. It's kind of magical thinking.
Well, now I like do things that are like, you know, I do things for charity, and I work for various offer free time, and I realize that I'm trying to do all these like ultra good things because I feel like so guilty about it. I'm trying to wash it away as like Lady Macbeth or something.
Oh, you have an education.
Sort of.
How'd you get that?
Reading.
Oh, you have a real education.
No, I never went to college.
No, but you're a person who's hungry.
Hungry.
Yeah.
Always.
So what do you do?
I'm a sculptor.
Are you good?
Pretty good. I make a living at it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any psychotherapy?
I was treated for hypomania at 25, but the shrink told me this is a physical thing. I'm going to give you drugs for it, but I'm not going to give you psychotherapy, pharmacological therapy.
Hypomania is not one of the diseases that we like to treat with chemicals. Because the hypomanic state is often a very highly productive state, if it can be controlled.
Yeah, I don't get beyond a mild euphoria, sort of like if I was religious, I'd be carrying one of those crosses with a little wheel, but I'm not, and I don't get beyond.
Do you take medicine now?
Yes.
Lithium?
No.
What?
Tegretol.
Uh-huh. And it works for you?
Yes.
I'm not sure the therapy would be directed at mania, but if anyone in this planet has earned the right to uncover and let go of this anxiety-producing, self-esteem eroding, family inhibiting, grief compounded history that you have, it's you. Your creativity is bound someplace and held back in some ways by what you have suffered. I mean, you're a tortured soul.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't want that for you.
Child molesters are the most vile things on earth,
And you were the molested child.
I'm sure they all were.
But the point is, you have to forgive yourself and move on, instead of question your worth and deservability. That's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
The time has come to take that next step.
So you think I have the right to be a person free of guilt over that?
Look at me. What do you see?
I think so.
What do you see in my face?
Yes.
Of course. I mean, you have a contribution to make. No one understands your pain the way you have come to see it, and yet you don't understand it at all in some ways. What do you sculpt? What kind of things?
I like the old masters of Greece and Rome, but getting hold of that kind of material is nearly impossible. And getting an education to work on that stuff is almost impossible. So I generally work in clay and ceramics.
What is your subject?
People, lately I've been getting into animals and people, animals in motion, stuff like that. I got some stuff in a bank, but they took it out because it was too weird.
You know something? You deserve a life.
I've had many lives.
No, you have not. You've had all of the excuses for a life except your own. And I think you really need to consider doing some psychotherapy, and I want you to stay on the line because we're going to give you a number where you can get some help, but you deserve to understand and to link together the facts of the emotions of your life, forgive yourself, and move on. And you deserve to be better too. All of you, every one of us, deserves the best. But the best doesn't happen until we start believing it will happen. Stay tuned. Isn't it amazing what some people go through life with? Feelings of guilt, feelings that they had to blame for all of the injury in their life. We all have to take responsibility for our lives, but some people just seem to have so much pain. It's amazing that they can do as well as they do. It's amazing how resilient the human soul is. Who's next?
Okay, we have John on line D, and he has some concerns about his brother.
John?
Hi,
Hi, John. How old are you?
31.
Okay, what's going on?
Well, I have a brother, my older brother, who I am really close to, and I've had to ask him not to come anywhere near our home or anywhere near my children.
Why?
Well, it goes back a little while. It goes back a couple of years. It started with him being really paranoid about all kinds of crazy things. You know, people looking at him on a bus. You can just imagine all kinds of stuff. And then eventually, it turned out that he told me in conversation that we had that he was waiting for my 11-year-old daughter to grow up so that he could marry her. And at that point, I told him, I would still try to help him. Well, I knew he needed some type of psychiatric help, but he couldn't come anywhere near our home anymore. And it's just kind of difficult because I am really close to him, and he doesn't really have a whole lot of other people who could help him.
Oh, I'll bet that's true. You see, you seem to have reacted to one piece of information, his wanting to marry your 11-year-old. How serious is he?
Well, serious enough to tell me he realizes how unrealistic it is. I mean, I've approached him in every possible way. He does talk to me a lot. And he understands how unrealistic it is. Yet he says he's still willing to wait until she grows up, until she can be an adult who can make a choice. And, these kind of things. And it's like he plans on waiting his life until she grows up so that he can marry her. And it's just like, it's totally bizarre. And just the mere fact that he would have any thoughts at all related to my daughter meant he couldn't come anywhere near my daughter.
You think he'd do something?
No, I don't really think he would do something. Certainly he never has
So it's just the
done
thought.
anything in the past. It's just the fact that it's gotten to that point.
Or it's the fact that it's making you uncomfortable now.
Yeah,
Okay, because he's been paranoid for years.
right,
His thinking's unrealistic.
right.
Sounds like it's always been. And it sounds like he's been a disturbed man for as long as you can remember, right?
Well,
I'm being gentle now, right?
I can, I go back the last 10 years. Certainly I don't remember it any different.
Okay. So, since he's been 21, he's had abnormal thought processes. Has he ever been evaluated?
Yeah.
And what did they say?
He was on lithium for some time,
Okay, but
and now he's off it.
But what did they say was wrong with him?
I guess they just diagnosed him as schizophrenic paranoia, something like that.
That's what they use, right?
Yeah.
And he's not on any medication right now.
He's not on any medication now. And he tells me, like I say, when I talk to him, he agrees of the unreality of a lot of the things. This is just the one that has touched base where I've said, well, I'll still try to help you. I still want to work with you. And I try to have as much contact
Well,
as
I
possible.
understand this, but, what he did is he touched a charge issue.
Yeah.
You're the father protecting the kids, right?
Right.
Okay. He needs to be medicated, and he needs to be in treatment, and he needs to be followed closely. There are a lot of excellent drugs that do well for alterations in thought process. And the fact that he's not on anything now and that he's 31...
He's 34 now.
He's 34. Does he work?
No.
You see, he's already in the pattern. When was the last time he worked?
Well, probably about a year ago.
And what happened?
I'm not sure why he stopped working. I believe the work just ended.
Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We're
Sometimes
not
I don't
sure.
get straight started.
All right. And he's not reliable. There's no one else but you?
Basically.
Guy needs to see a psychiatrist, and he needs to be put on some medication.
Yeah.
And the sooner the better, because these things don't get better on their own. They just get more hardened. Okay, so you know what to do, right?
I do.
Okay, go for it.
Thanks.
Take care. Sad. Who's next?
Okay, we have Dana on line 7, and she's jealous.
Dana.
Hi.
Hi, Dana.
Hi.
What's up?
Well, I live with the man, my best friend, who's actually a homosexual male, and quite often he brings men home. And I don't really have I do kind of have a problem with it, but at first it was just concern. I mean, with all things going on in the society, just concerned for his health and his well-being. But lately it's been really hard for me to take. And
What's hard to take?
well, I don't know. I get kind of overly parental, and he acknowledges that. And I don't know if it's just that I'm finally admitting my jealousy, or
Jealousy about what?
but the time he gets to spend, he spends with his many companions, or not that many,
Are you jealous of... Are you jealous or are you envious of the fact that here he is, he's got friends and you don't? Are you jealous in that you'd rather spend them with him, but he prefers to spend them with other people?
Well, a little bit of both, actually, to be honest.
Okay. No boyfriend?
No.
Why did you decide to live with him?
Well, he's my best friend, and we get along real well, and we've been best friends for a while now.
Have you been using him as a substitute to keep from getting involved with men?
No, not by any means.
Do you have a boyfriend?
No, but I'm not actually looking for one either.
Have you had a boyfriend?
Got out of about a 4-year relationship
Okay.
last year.
You think it would have been a problem if you were still in that relationship?
If I was still in a relationship and living with him?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, most definitely.
Why? Then it's something else.
No,
Tell me what this is. If you were still in a relationship, why would you care who he was seeing?
I guess I wouldn't.
Or are you in love with him?
No, well, I love him because he's my best friend.
I
but
understand that, but are you in love with him?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
If he were not gay, would you be in love with him? You get 10 seconds on that one.
Yeah.
The answer
Well,
is...
no, he's
the answer is...
It's hard to say because he's a beautiful individual in that, well, he's physically attractive and he's just real.
Would you be in love with him if he gave out that other male-female energy?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Uh-huh. Well, I think the part that's hard to speak about is the part that says yes as the answer to that question. And 2, I think that's the part that's making you jealous.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
But that's not exactly something that one can easily admit to.
Well, so easily admit to it, and maybe we can get it over with.
Probably.
All right. So you have a crush on him.
Yeah.
All right. Good. We got there. And you're jealous of all these guys.
Well, yeah.
Good. That's what this is. We've
That's-
made progress.
Yeah, I guess that's what this is.
Okay. So you ought to talk to him about it.
Oh, well, yeah.
He's not going to go to bed with you.
No, and that's not what I want
He's not
either.
going to make a pass at you.
I know.
But he's your friend, and you need to say, you know something? I'm having these feelings about you. I'd never act on it, but I'm having feelings of jealousy.
But
He'll be flattered.
he'll be flattered. Well, I value our friendship too much
It won't
to jeopardize
hurt.
it.
It's not going to jeopardize it.
Well,
A friend of mine died a couple of summers ago, my oldest friend in life, and I'd always been very fond of his wife, with whom I used to play chamber music. And I would call her every 10 or 12 days or so and see how she was doing and how life was getting on and how she was managing the children and getting back into her teaching program and all this sort of thing. And then one afternoon, when I was speaking to her, she said, "Oh, by the way, I'm dating this really nice guy," and she goes on. And I said, "Edie, I can't believe it, but I'm feeling jealous." You know what she said? She just started laughing on the other side of the phone. She says, "David, that is the sweetest thing you have ever said."
oh, well,
Totally innocent.
yeah.
Totally innocent. Share it with your friend. Your relationship can take it. And guess what? The two of you deserve to be open, and if you have those kinds of feelings, you know, they're just part of what happens between men and women, even when the relationship is impossible, even when it's between a gay person and a straight person. It's just what it is. The more open you are with a relationship, the better the chances are that you're going to resolve this in a manner that makes it easier for you. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. We've got some more great calls. David Viscott, and welcome back. This show looks like it's going to end in a flourish. What do we have?
Okay, we have Art on line 12, and his sexual interests have changed.
Here we go. Art.
Good evening.
How old are you?
I'm 36.
What do you mean your sexual interests have changed?
Well, I've been involved in sadomasochism for many, many years, and as a dominant. And
this is heterosexual?
yeah. primarily. I had been bi years ago, but because of AIDS, I've restricted my activity to heterosexual safe contact. But I'm really anxious right now, so please.
I'm there.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to make you anxious. I just want to know enough about this.
I'm making myself anxious talking.
Okay. Would you like me to talk?
Well, I'll just anyway. I left my S&M associations a while back, and I've terminated my last relationship with my last submissive female, and I've tried having sexual encounters with just normal male-female romantic sex, and I can't get an erection without the accoutrements and atmosphere of the domination, and you know where I'm going with this.
Well, what was the sort of domination you were involved in?
Well, bondage, some pain inducement, a lot of different fantasies, a lot of this master-slave type stuff. I mean, I don't know how graphic you want me to get, and I know we're on TV, so.
Okay. I just want to know enough to know what it means.
I've been in deep.
Deep?
Yeah. To the point where I started believing my...
Fantasies?
Yeah.
When did this start? When did you first become fascinated with this?
I was thinking about this. I first started having my fantasies when I was very, very young.
How young?
Like 4 or 5.
And what were the fantasies at 4 and 5?
Dreaming of tying women up in the women I'd see in picture books, children's books. I would fantasize about capturing them, tying them up.
And doing what?
Well, nothing. I mean, I didn't understand what intercourse was.
Yeah, but just tying them up.
Tying them up and touching them and that sort of thing.
Okay. And what in your own life when you were 4 paralleled the emotions that were depicted in your fantasies? You wanted to tie anyone else up? Not necessarily to have sex with them or touch them, but...
If I did have actual feelings about real people, I don't remember them.
Was there anyone that you felt you were out of control with? Who was mastering you?
My parents.
How?
Well, my father did molest me.
He did?
Yes, sir.
How?
Well, he sodomized me.
When you were how old?
When I was about 4 or 5.
And do you remember that?
I remember vague images of it, and it came up a few years ago when I was going through therapy.
Okay. And he was on top of you?
I remember him, yeah, that's basically how I remember it.
Holding you down with his weight?
Right.
Making you feel?
Yeah, helpless.
Helpless. And that position must have been terrifying.
Yeah.
And it led to fantasies of you wanting to be in the position of the tormentor, at least not being the tormented.
Right.
That's what all this means.
Yeah, I've kind of picked that up, and I'm just at the point where I want a better life for myself, and I want to experience a normal love relationship with a woman, and that's sort of the whole deal, And like I say, I'm not able to perform without this other stuff.
At all?
No, I'm not, and I almost don't have a sexual interest in women without these other things going on. Even though I do like women as friends, and I have, female friends, and what have you.
Yeah, this is interesting because what it really feels like is that this isn't sexual at all.
I can understand that.
Okay, tell me what that understanding rings in your head.
It's more a power thing. It's a feeling of control, mastery, power.
Well, under the power, it's a wish for power thing.
Yeah, okay.
But underneath that is the feelings that you were talking about when you were starting to talk to me. Terror.
Right.
It's a feeling of terror that you're trying to master.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
When you were sodomized, it was painful.
Yes, it was.
And when you cried out, what did your father say?
I remember my father. My mother was in the hospital at the time, and I remember my father basically threatening me, telling me not to say anything. That's like I say, it's all pretty cloudy and murky, and I don't remember too much more than that.
Does he live?
But my father's been dead for many, many years.
Since when?
1972.
How did he die?
Alcoholism.
So he was probably drunk at this time, too.
Yeah, he was a chronic alcoholic.
And mother?
My mother was borderline schizophrenic.
Was?
Well, she's gone too.
So what do you think about yourself with this kind of heritage?
Well, I think I'm very, I've gone through this ACA and all this kind of thing, and I sort of know the dynamic that's going on here. That I'm trying, like I say, some of the things that you said I'd agree with. I just don't know what to do with myself at this point. I mean, I don't even blame them anymore, and I think I've worked through a lot of the anger at them. Maybe I haven't. I don't know. But
Well, I think there's a place of forgiveness that you haven't come to yet.
pardon me.
There's a place, interesting, what you should not hear would be the thing that was the most important statement. There's a place of forgiveness you have not come to yet.
I see.
And forgiveness, let me explain. Forgiveness is letting go of the hurt.
Okay.
You carry the hurt around with you, and because you cannot express it, you turn the hurt into anger, and then you try to control the anger with all this controlled sexuality.
I see.
That's the motivation for all this.
Okay.
Now, something clicked. What was that?
I've just come to the realization that I think that my forgiveness towards them has been more surface than from the heart,
And so you're acting out the vengeance of the terror by still requiring these sadomasochistic activities.
yeah.
Because in order to have an erection, a man needs to be able to express some anger without ambivalence. And what you do is you put yourself into a situation of domination so that there is a relieving of the guilt and a relieving of the helplessness and powerlessness.
Oh, okay.
You understand what you do?
It's hitting home. It's hitting home.
Tell me what's clicking.
It's just what you're saying is making sense to me.
Oh.
You know.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
This should be a very bizarre call.
Yeah, I know.
But it isn't. It's just very ordinary. You were a child who was abused, who now, in order to feel better about himself, abused other people, and in that abusing ended up feeling so guilty that you could not enjoy yourself or feel good about yourself or believe you were deserving.
I see. What's the next step?
Next step is forgiving them.
Well, I mean, they're dead. What do I do?
Well, it's time to write letters to them. You know, if you want to write a letter of forgiveness, what you do is you write a letter to the parent. You state the hurt that you suffered. You indicate that now the hurt is gone, but you indicate how you were hurt, why you kept it in, and the consequences of so doing. And you write this in as clear language as you possibly can muster. And then you take the letters to the grave, and you read the letter aloud. Wait a while, sitting at the gravesite, and then crumple them into a ball and light a match to them. And as the letters burn on the gravesite into ashes, think of the message that's being left there forever, and break up the ashes with the heel of your foot on the grave and say, I forgive you for all the hurt that you caused me, and I leave my hurt here. And you'll know that over the years, those ashes will just sink down into that place, and the remnants of your hurt and anger will be left there, and they'll no longer be part of you. It's a symbolic riddance. And it works, but take at least a month to write the letters so that you make sure it has all of your pain in it, because the object here is to be free and not carry this hurt along with you. Amazing how even the most bizarre situation always has at its root the most simple human feeling, hurt unexpressed that leads to anger. And when the anger is squelched, it needs to be expressed in a way that doesn't produce guilt. And that's all this means.
It's letting go, sure. Okay, let's take Steve. He's on line 11, and he has a concern to talk about.
Steve.
Yes, Dr. Viscott.
How old are you, Steve?
I'm 36.
Have we ever spoken before?
No, but I've been watching your show for about 3 months, and I've been trying to call you for about 3 months.
Okay.
And couldn't get through.
All right. Tell me what's wrong.
I have either a fixation or obsession, I'm not sure which, that I'm finding hard to deal with.
Tell me what it is.
It's anal stimulation.
Of you or of another?
Both.
Okay, tell me what it's about.
I want to give and I want to receive.
Okay, are you gay?
No, I'm not. I'm not gay at all.
Okay,
I have no desire to be gay.
okay, and what do you think the problem is?
I just find it very pleasurable. I don't find penile vagina intercourse that pleasurable, but I do engage in it with my partner to satisfy her needs. But I don't find it that pleasurable. But if I even think about anal stimulation, I get an erection almost immediately. And when I look at a woman, there's three things I look at: the face, the figure, and her butt. And you know, I want to do things to her.
Well, that's clear. But what do you think the problem is?
What do I think the problem is?
Yeah.
I can't get enough satisfaction. I can't seem to be satisfied this craving I have.
You don't satisfy it, or you haven't satisfied it?
I'm not able to get enough activity to satisfy it.
Okay. So what does that tell you?
I've either got to forget about it or find a way to satisfy it.
I trust that this isn't what you and your girlfriend engage in?
Yeah, yes, it is, but it's a long-distance relationship. So we don't see each other that often.
How often do you see her?
2 to 3 times a year.
No matter what kind of sex you need, 2 or 3 times a year just isn't going to do the trick, is it?
No, that is one of the problems.
It is one of the problems.
We're both physically disabled, and that makes
What kind of disability do you have?
Excuse me?
What kind of disability do you have?
We both have cerebral palsy,
Uh-huh.
and so it's hard for us to get together because of finding rides and so forth, and having adequate assistance when we do get together.
Adequate assistance?
Yes, with attending care to help with getting into bed and so forth.
Well, all I can say is that more than anything else, it's the distance between you rather than the nature of the fixation that is the problem, right?
Well, but outside of her, I would like to. I think of it being satisfied with anybody.
Well, I know, but
anybody on TV
I know that's just your fantasy life. But your reality is that you have a girlfriend who you're not able to be with together because it is logistically impossible.
Difficult, not impossible.
All right, I'll go to difficult.
But
what you need to focus on is seeing your girlfriend more and making the relationship a closer one. And then I think some of the fantasies, which are the substitute for the lack of stimulation and lack of closeness, would start to disappear, and your relationship would become more satisfying because there'd be more of the relationship between the two of you. We'll be right back. You got to stay with us. That means you. I just have to get one thing straight with you. I don't make these calls up. I just answer the phone, okay?
Okay, we have Karen on line 7, and she needs help making a decision.
Karen on line 7.
Yes, hi, David.
Hi.
Yes, I'm calling because my fiance and I, we've been together for 2 years, and we've had a pretty sexual relationship, and very loving, but it's been kind of up and down lately. And it seems that our sex life is getting a little more progressive, and now
A little more what?
a little more progressive.
What does progressive mean?
Well, I mean, we started out with like videos, porn films, and playing with toys, and now it's getting into like living out some fantasies and stuff, and he mentioned that he'd like to have sex with me and another woman, and also with a she-male with me in the room with him.
With a
she-male.
What is a she-male?
Well, it's a man that has a penis and breasts and dresses like a woman.
Where do you get one of these?
Well, I don't personally know, and I don't even know if he knows, but we've seen him on the adult films and stuff, and he seems to be very stimulated with that idea. And I just wanted to find out, how much farther this could go and what the situation means.
Chickens?
Chicken?
I'm just saying.
What'd you say?
I just went into the barnyard with my mind. How far could this
chicken.
go? Lady, I don't know how far this could
yeah,
go.
we saw that
How
one
far do
too.
you want this to go?
How much farther?
Yeah, I mean, what do you... is this pleasurable to you?
Well, a few
I
years...
can't believe I said with a chicken. I don't believe I said that. I said that, though, didn't I?
Yeah, well,
Go ahead.
we probably saw the same film.
We did?
Well, no.
Garen, why are you calling?
To find out, if there's something more here than
More here than...
fantasy.
You're into kinky sex.
Well, I'm open.
Okay. Are you looking for permission?
Excuse me?
Are you looking for permission?
No, I'm looking to see if there's something more in...
Like what more? What do you fear?
Well,
What are you afraid of?
I've already had sex with 2 females and a male, so I've lived out that fantasy, that is no longer a fantasy for me, but
2
it is for
females
him.
and a male in one group with him?
No, not with him, with someone else in my past.
Okay. So you've been into this for a while.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think that says about you?
Well, I think I'm pretty sexual and pretty open-minded.
Okay. So what do you want from me? You think this means you're bad or weird?
No, the she-male thing really bothers me.
Ah, why does that bother you?
Because I'm wondering if there's something more...
You say that 3 times now. Tell me what something more means. I don't know what you mean by something more. Something more.
With him.
Oh, you think he may be gay?
I don't know.
Do you think...
I don't think he's ever... Well, I don't know.
Do you have a fear about it?
Oh, I do. I mean, I wouldn't want to marry him and then find out later that he would leave me for a man because he'd like him better than me.
But that's what you're worried about.
Yes.
So talk about it.
Well, we have. And
what
he
is
says
this?
that he loves women and he would never do that.
Oh. You
But
don't...
he's never experienced this, so I don't know if that's true.
But you think he might get interested if he tried it?
Well, he might.
Ah, dear. There is a nerve, a nerve that comes out of the spinal cord. And the nerve is called first sacral nerve, okay? And it innervates a lot of the perineum. It innervates the clitoris, the penis, the anus, all the regions around it. And it's just a stupid nerve. And when you stimulate that nerve, it reacts and produces a sexual reaction. And it's just a physiological response. But it gets trapped in all kinds of beliefs and systems and forms of behavior and perversion. And I think you have to pull your life a little bit back into shape. What you're afraid of, Karen, is losing control. Isn't that right?
Well, I suppose.
Well, that's what this call is about. You're afraid you're going to lose control over the stimulation of the feelings that go through this nerve. I hate to reduce sex to just that one thing, but where's the love in the relationship? I mean, I'm not being moralistic, but the point is, without love, you need a lot of sex to give you stimulation. When there's a lot of love there, all sex is great because it's just closeness with someone you really love. And if that's not enough, then all of the titillation in the world isn't going to make this better, and you ought to think about that. Because what you're really looking for, I think, is something that your relationship may not be giving you. Well, we don't have time for another call?
I don't think so.
No. It's amazing how these evenings go. You can't plan them. You can never figure out any of the direction of this thing. But there seems to be a lot of sex nights. A lot of people who had sex as a child, a lot of people who were damaged, which leads me to the following thoughts. The injuries you suffer as a child always have some kind of lingering effect on you as an adult. When those feelings are sexual in nature, the feelings that are left to you in an adult are also sexual, except they don't remain the same, because when you were dominated as a child, the feeling you have as an adult is either that you were somehow a willing victim and therefore feel guilty and want to avoid sex, or that you're terrified by all sex, or that you need to master people and control them. Somehow when you're tampered with sexually as a child, you lose the ability to be free as an adult, and you gain that freedom back by expressing your feelings, sharing your emotions, and being willing to accept the feelings of the moment as they come. Arlene?
David, good night.
Good
Wasn't
night. Yeah, I never can figure it out. Anyhow, we'll be seeing you next week, and I don't know what's going to happen then either. Take care.
You may wish to contact the Viscott Center at 1-800-426-4432. The center is open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Private consultation is available for a fee.